Hey guys, welcome back to another RuneScape 3 guide. This video is an updated version of an older video I made 3 years ago discussing some of the best and most useful quests and quest rewards in RuneScape. Since the last video was released, there have been many new quests with powerful rewards, which I will be covering in this video. I will be ordering the quests based on accessibility, so the quests mentioned earlier in the video will generally have less requirements and potentially less rewards as well. Some of the quests later on, you'll see that they will have really powerful rewards, but also more requirements. So you can sort of use this video to prioritize which quests to work towards first. I hope you all enjoy. One of the first quests you should set your eyes on is the Waterfall Quest. It's a great quest for a brand new account, and it's one of the quests that I do first when I create a new account. So first off, there aren't any requirements, so you can do it right off of a fresh account. And the reason why you want to do this quest up front is because it does give you a fair bit of attack and strength XP. So this will get you from level 1 all the way up to level 30 attack and strength just by completing the quest. It really helps you bypass those first 30 levels, so it's a really great quest to start off with. You do just need to be wary of getting killed by any of the monsters you encounter throughout the quest. Probably the strongest monster you'll encounter is the Moss Giant, so it isn't really too threatening. This quest is also sort of required for some other quests later on. So it's one that you will want to get out of the way up front. The next quest I have on the list is Beneath Cursed Tides. This is actually a free-to-play quest, so it is a good quest to complete before you even try out Member Worlds if you're trying out free-to-play first. There are some requirements, so you will need level 30 in certain skills. I listed them on screen. The reward from this quest is access to the Giant Oyster monthly D&D. So that's a D&D where you do get quite a bit of fishing XP and a decent amount of farming XP every time you do it. Basically, you'll put those two ingredients that you get into the Giant Oyster, and once per month you can open the oyster and you'll get a random clue scroll reward. Personally, I've been doing it for a few years, and I have actually gotten a Barrows die out of it once, so dies are possible. You know, this D&D can make you a fair bit of money. And it's also just a bit exciting to open up a clue scroll reward. So this is another quest I would get out of the way fairly early so you can start that monthly D&D. Next we have more of an intermediate type quest. It's Smoking Kills, but this is one of the best quests to complete. It is essential for Slayer. So requirements include quite a few quests, including Stolen Hearts, A Diamond in the Rough, Gertrude's Cat, and Ichlithrin's Little Helper. Also the Restless Ghost. You will need level 25 crafting and 35 Slayer to complete this quest. And you'll want some decent combat and prayer, probably protect from ranged if you are going to do it. The rewards is really the reason why you want to complete this quest. It's sort of an introduction to Slayer type quest. First off, you gain the ability to earn the full amount of Slayer points. So that is huge. You know, if you are going to train Slayer, you want to complete this quest. You also unlock the Polnovich Slayer Master. So that's something you could bypass, but it is nice to have. And finally, you get the ability to construct Slayer items, including the Slayer Helmet. So that is extremely helpful when training Slayer at higher levels. It's something you will want to get started on early. So if you are planning on training Slayer at any point throughout your account's history, you'll definitely want to complete this quest before you do. Next we have the Fairy Tale quest series. So these quests include Lost Ark and Fairy Tale Part 1, 2, and 3. The requirements, so you can see there are 4 different quests listed there and various different skill requirements. It is sort of a mid-level quest. You do need to have some skill requirements, and you would have had to play the game for a while to have those. But the rewards are pretty good. You do get the Magic Secateurs, which is really great for farming. It gives you a chance at harvesting some more herbs when you're doing herb runs. And then also access to the fairy rings. You know, this is really helpful for teleportation around the map. There's certain areas where fairy rings are the fastest way to get there. So it's really nice to have those unlocked. Next, we have a pretty beginner level quest, Jack of the Spades, only 2 quest requirements, and the reward is access to Menaphos. So this is definitely a quest you'll want to complete fairly early on when you create a new account. It gives you access to Menaphos, which unlocks a ton of new content and a lot of mid-level skilling methods. So it is definitely a quest to prioritize a bit when you're just starting a new account. Next on the list, we have the Forinthry quest series. So this includes New Foundations, Murder on the Border, Unwelcome Guests, and Dead and Buried, which is actually coming out this month. So there aren't any requirements to start New Foundations and to start Forinthry. So you can just do that right off the bat. You will need level 50 Construction and 10 Slayer for Unwelcome Guests. So that will, give you some boosts for Wilderness Slayer. And then Dead and Buried, it hasn't been announced yet, but we are expecting that quest to be announced quite soon. And the requirements, I would probably presume, a bit of a higher construction level. But I will post the requirements in the description. The rewards from this quest series just gives you access to Fort 4 and 3. There's a ton of helpful boosts that you will unlock throughout Fort 4 and 3 and throughout building all the different buildings. An example of this is the workshop helping with invention machines. You have the town hall, which just provides some extra bonus XP. The chapel gives a place for players to offer bones and ashes at the altar there. The command center helps with some global operations such as the Anachronia base camp, archaeology research, managing miscellanea, and player-owned ports. It also, gives a few boosts to those things as well. And, the list goes on. So there's definitely some really helpful boosts within this quest series, and the requirements aren't very high. So, it's something to get started on fairly early. And just progress through the quest series and, get some of these buildings built. The next quest we have is the World Wakes. This is a bit of an iconic quest, and one that you will want to try and do when possible. There aren't any requirements, however, 100 plus combat, or about level 70 in some combat stats, is recommended since there is some combat in the quest. The rewards are really great, so you will unlock 5 new ultimate abilities, including Death, Swiftness, and Sunshine, which are the best ultimate abilities for ranged and magic. You'll also get a ton of XP in the form of XP lamps, which is pretty helpful, especially when you're trying to grind out some of those boring skills, like maybe, the level 80s in Divination. These lamps would really help for that. So it's definitely a really good quest to complete and one to prioritize sort of in the mid-game. Next, we have a newer quest being Succession. So the requirements is the Daughter of Chaos quest, the Civil War 3 mini quest. You'll also need 60 mining and 60 smithing. The rewards include the Tier 6 Infernal Puzzle Box, and it can be added to the tool belt. So you will actually get the Infernal Puzzle Box through the Daughter of Chaos quest, but this will allow you to add it to the tool belt, and you'll unlock the different tiers of the Infernal Puzzle Box as well, which have some pretty powerful abilities. One of the best abilities being your adrenaline not reducing outside of combat. And you'll also gain access to the dive ability, which is essentially bladed dive, except you don't need the dual wields. The next quest we have is Temple at Sennisten. This has some of the most requirements. It is sort of a longer term quest, but it's one you are going to want to prioritize. So, as you can see, there's 35 different quests required. So you will want to go through that quest series and try and complete those quests. You will need 125 kudos at the Varrock Museum as well, and 50 prayer. The rewards are exceptional, so you will unlock Ancient Curses, including Soul Split and Turmoil, which are used in basically all of PVM. So it's definitely a quest you will want to prioritize if you're interested in PVM. It's one that is extremely beneficial. Next, we have the Elder Kiln. The requirements for this is 60 agility, 75 magic, and 40 mining. The rewards include access to the Fight Kiln. So if you do complete the Fight Kiln, you will get the Tokar Cape, which is one of the best capes in the game, stat-wise. You can then, if you want to go for the Infernal Cape, you could try and defeat Zuck to upgrade the cape. So, this is a really good quest to complete, and even the Tokar Cape is really great. Next, we have Fate of the Gods. The requirements are fairly high, it's still probably mid to high level requirements, but only one quest required, being Missing Presumed Dead. The rewards are really great. You get the Shard of Zeros, also access to Sliske, which unlocks Nihils, and you'll get a total of 600,000 experience across some different skills. So it's one of the quests that aren't, extremely important. It is required for some other quests, but it does have some decent rewards, just not as good as some of the other ones that I already mentioned. Next, we have another iconic quest series being Plague's End. This quest has a ton of different requirements. Making History, Regicide, Catapult Construction, and Within the Light are 4 of the required quests, but they all have a lot of prerequisite quests to them, so there is a pretty long list of quests to be completed. You'll also need level 75 in various different skills in order to access this quest. The reward is amazing. You get access to Prifddinas, which is one of the most iconic RuneScape areas. It has a Grand Exchange. It has a lot of high-level skilling methods. It is a really useful area to unlock. So it's another quest to prioritize in the long term and see it as a goal that you want to work towards. The next quest on the list is Extinction. It is a newer quest and does have various different quest requirements, as you can see on screen. There aren't any actual skilling requirements, but a pretty decent combat level is highly recommended, at least 105. You will have to do some combat throughout this quest, and there is sort of like a boss quest at the end. But it is a really great quest to complete because of the reward. Upon completion of the quest, you will unlock a brand new area, being the Dream of Aya, which allows you to access some high-tier resource-limited rates in 6 different skills, being Construction, Crafting, Fishing, Fletching, Herblore, and Hunter. You'll also have the ability to upgrade the Pontifex Shadow Ring to the Enriched Pontifex Shadow Ring, and the best reward from this quest definitely has to be the passive Ring of Vigor. So you can get a Warp Gem, which you will get from the NPC and Effigy Incubator, and you can combine that with the Ring of Vigor to gain its benefits passively. So if you are someone who likes PVM, this is definitely a quest to complete, because having the passive Ring of Vigor is really great. It just helps a ton in literally every combat situation. Next, we have the City of Sennisten. This is a newer quest that wouldn't have been mentioned in my last version of the guide. Requirements include Desperate Times, Desperate Measures, the Desperate Creatures mini-quest, also the Raksha mini-quest, and the Vault of the Shadows mystery. You will need a few other things, including a Xandra's quest and Battle of the Monolith, and a few skilling requirements. The rewards include 4 new ancient magics, being Smoke Cloud, Animate Dead, Accentuate, and Incite Fear. Animate Dead being probably the most iconic spell here. It's extremely helpful for magic, basically allows you to tank just about anything. So really great quest to complete, especially if you are a magic main. Next, we have the Light Within quest, which is a sequel to Plague's End. So that is one of the requirements, including Fate of the Gods, The World Wakes, the Temple at Sennisten, and Meeting History. So a lot of pretty big quest requirements. You'll also need level 80 in various different skills there. The rewards are pretty good. You get 90,000 experience in each of the required skills. You also get access to Saren spells and Saren prayers, which can be really helpful for some different skilling methods. And you get access to Tardiad, which will give you the crystal shapeshifters. It's a pretty good Slayer creature, so the one that I think is pretty good to unlock. Next, we have a pretty high level quest being the River of Blood. This is actually a quest that I haven't completed on my account, just because there are a ton of requirements, but the rewards, it's pretty good. You do get the Sun Spear, which is a pretty good tier 76 weapon that can be changed into all 3 combat styles. The reason why it's really good, even for sort of endgame, is that you can augment it, which means you can put something like Planted Feet on it, and you can use it as your Planted Feet switch item. That way you don't actually need to augment and get Planted Feet on various different combat styles, because you can just switch that into whatever combat style you're using. And finally, the last quest on the list is Sliske's Endgame, which is probably one of the last quests, that you would complete, and has a ton of requirements, and it is an extremely long quest. The rewards include 1.25 million XP in the forms of various different XP lamps. You get the Catalyst Fragments, the Ring of Whispers, and the Necklace of Shadows. So the Catalyst Fragments, they help Hunter, runecrafting, and farming. They have their various different buffs and bonuses. The Ring of Whisper grants an invisible +3 bonus to gathering skills, so it's helpful for all the different gathering skills. And the Necklace of Shadows stops familiars from draining summoning points after they have been initially summoned. So the rewards from this quest, they are pretty good. They are definitely helpful for skillers in particular, but I wouldn't say they're overpowered or items that everyone needs to strive to get. You can definitely get by without them, but they are helpful if you do complete the quest. So it is one of those quests that you could strive for at the end if you're looking to get the quest cape. It's one of those quests that would need to be completed, but it is extremely long and has a ton of requirements, but it is probably one of those last quests you should put on your list in terms of big key highlighted quests. And so those are all of the quests on my list. Of course, there are a few other pretty good quests that I didn't mention, but these are sort of the best quests, the ones that are highlighted in my mind that you will want to strive for. I really hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for more RuneScape 3 content. You can also join my Discord channel. The link to that is in the description. I do have a few different channels where I try to organize some bossing events or find some people to boss with. So if you are interested in that, definitely check out the Discord. The link is in the description. And thank you guys all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.